Happy birthday to Paige.
Oh, goodness.
Welcome
Thanks,
back, you guys. We
guys.
got to start with that. It is Paige's birthday.
Hello, 33.
Happy birthday to you.
Hey. I'm Paige.
I'm Cindy.
And this
is Mom's the Word.
where Mom knows best.
Or at least
She's trying her best.
Welcome back, you guys. Woo! I'm too excited to be here.
Literally. Oh, man. I'm just getting sleepy.
How you doing?
I'm tired.
Why?
Because my medication.
I feel you. I feel you. It's like a roller coaster with medication.
It really is. Just trying to get used to it all.
Yeah.
Just trying to get used to it all. The side effects of medication, it's like, is it really worth it in the end? Because the nausea just is ripping me a new one.
Do you feel like, though, it is worth it?
Yeah.
You don't get them for all of your medications, do you?
What?
You don't get bad side effects for all of them?
No. My Cymbalta, I don't feel like I've had any.
That's good.
Initially, I had like some jaw clenching, but that went away within like a couple of days. My ADHD meds are what makes me a little nauseous, and I think it's because I forget to eat.
Yeah.
And so then I'll get nauseous just from like not having eaten, and I don't want to eat because I'm nauseous.
Yeah.
That's like a double-edged sword, but yeah. And then my pain medication is just medical cannabis, and so that's been going actually really great. So I'm liking that.
Is that a new thing, or you've been on that for a while?
No, so I was on a pill form of medical cannabis. It's called Marinol.
Okay.
And Texas is recently, in the last years as I was pregnant and breastfeeding, open to like the tinctures and edibles and such.
Okay.
And so my doctor switched me over to well, technically I could get tinctures or drinks or edibles. There's multiple different things that I can get. I just get an allotted milligram per month, and so somebody calls me and they let me know what that my prescription is up and what do I want, and I just kind of go through a menu and say, can I do this, and this, and then that's it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Shoot, anything that helps.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous about it because I've had edibles before and they didn't work on me, and my doctor was like, oh no, this is a little different, as it is medical grade, as well as they are a bit stronger.
Yeah.
Typically, like on the market, you'd see like a 10 milligram edible, whereas mine are 30.
Yeah.
So it is 3 times stronger. And Mark thought it was hilarious because the first time I took him, I literally got the giggles, like uncontrollably, was just like laughing so hard. And so I was like, well, damn, maybe they do work on me. It's just
You needed
a little
that one.
different.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been going good. Just, the side effects of just feeling a little sleepy right now. But we're here, we're rocking, we're rolling. It's my birthday. We're doing the damn thing.
I know. I'm happy you're here.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here.
I'm glad you've made it through a lot of your struggles, and you're here 33 years later.
Oh, yeah. To be 33. What am I going to do for 33? Who knows? Who knows?
Well,
Possibilities are endless.
a few weeks ago, you guys, I was talking to Paige, and I want to bring the story because I find it, first of all, I find it extremely sad, but I don't know if anybody else relates to this, so I was crying over
Oh, my God.
people being tapped out of the army or the military. So, like when you're at your, I don't know, ceremony? Is that the right word? When you're at your ceremony, you have to stand there like a tent hut.
Your
until
graduation.
Somebody comes up to you and taps you on your shoulder.
Tent hut.
A tent hut.
It's attention. Shut the fuck up. That's
Are you sure?
I'm 100% positive.
Kelly, they say a tent hut. Wait, I'm so dead. First of all, I never knew it was a tent.
She said a 10.
That's like a fucking football.
I've never known that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's attention.
Anyways, I'm
Because
crying
you're
already.
standing at attention. That's what that is called.
I thought like
They're calling
because
you
they
out
go-
to stand
they go,
at attention.
And then they go, hut, hut.
No, I love you. That's wrong.
Anyways, I was crying over these videos because, first of all, like when their family taps them out, they crumble, right? Like a lot of them will crumble, and it's like so heartbreaking. And then I'm watching, and I keep looking at these or a couple of them, they're not moving. No one's tapping out. So I literally voice memo her in a panic, like, what happens to them?
Like, what happens? And I was like, well, either like a sergeant would come over, or a friend, or a family member. There's multiple.
That's sad.
There's lots of people that their family doesn't go.
That's sad. And she goes,
My family didn't go.
Yeah. What?
To be fair, I was in FIT, which means that whenever you graduate basic, you don't get like a special ceremony. So then the AIT is when you get your big special one, and I didn't get to graduate AIT because I got hurt beforehand. So and my parents, whenever I came out as gay, sold my car for $100 and turned off my cell phone. So
You could have that's
We just weren't in a good place.
First of all, like my parents would be there if I was at an award for,
Yeah.
doing anything. And so like I was like, she just like talking about it. She's like, yeah, mine weren't there. And I'm like, Paige, that's actually really
She was like
fucking
crying.
sad.
She was like, Paige, stop laughing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm, like,
really
literally
fucked up.
laughing. And she's like, no one was there. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Paige. That's so sad to me.
They didn't write me either. I didn't like get letters or any of that stuff. Like, because you'll get like mail call in the middle of the day. They'll come out with like
that's so messed
letters.
up.
That's why I was like, if you have anybody in basic training, write them, because you never know who's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I find it's really important for me to show up for people if they invite me to something. Like I'm gonna be there. Like literally, Boston had a birthday party. I flew in the night before at like 2 in the morning, and I still was there. And so I'm like, I can't. So like I'm like in my mind thinking of little Paige, and I'm like, nobody came.
That was good.
No, she wasn't.
I learned at a very young age how to be independent and how to really genuinely rely on myself. So I've never found myself in the position to feel like I was missing out on anything, because that was just my normal.
I know.
Like, I don't even have a picture with my dad at my high school graduation.
Yeah, that's just like so sad to me that is people's reality, And I'm not dumb to it. I know a lot of people do not have that, but to me, it's like there's such big moments that you think at least one person would show up, not just your family, like an aunt that loves you, like somebody would fly in for you.
I had a difficult relationship with my dad, obviously, and then I had no relationship with my mom.
Right.
So, and she doesn't have siblings. She had she does, but that was a whole Ancestry.com scandal. That's a different story, but not that I was ever aware of. Yeah. So, I didn't didn't have that big family unit.
Yeah, I just find it heartbreaking. But I do know that a lot of you live that, and so I know that the families that you guys are building are a lot different now.
Yeah,
so it's important.
Chosen family. It's important.
So we did ask the audience what they wanted to hear from us. And so
Jay, why are you looking at me like you're going to cry?
Jay's joining us now.
I
know. Well, first of all, I mean, I think that's really sad. The fact that is your normal is sad. For any child to have that normal is very heartbreaking. When I hear stories like that, because I saw videos like that, my nephew graduated from the Marines at the end of October. And so I wasn't able to go because Kyler was not feeling well and he had a procedure. But my mom, his mom, they all helped him out, whatever. And it's very nice. And it is very heartbreaking to think about that. So when I think of those stories, I think of it from two angles. I think of it of children experiencing foster care that don't have families that age out. Yes. And that's very common for them. And that's extremely heartbreaking, especially around the holidays, that they don't have anywhere to go. Family members, nothing is just extremely heartbreaking. Yeah. And then I think of it as a gay male. I think to myself, there's a lot of us that are disowned for being gay. Yep. And so we don't have that family or those people to come tap us out or to spend holidays with. Yeah. And so it's extremely heartbreaking not to be able to have that. So I think of it from both sides, and it just breaks my heart, because one of my goals this year or next year potentially is to provide like a Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas dinner where people can just whoever wants to come have dinner.
I love
whoever's in need, let's have dinner together, and for us to put on that. And so that's one of my goals, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't have that, and it's extremely sad.
Yeah.
So it breaks my heart.
I know it's heartbreaking. You never want someone to feel alone. But I do have some things to read, so I'll read the first one. They asked to not use her name. So, dear Mom's the Word. Long story short, but my husband and I welcomed our baby earlier this year. Unfortunately, he cheated on me a few months after giving birth. I left him, and as stupid as it sounds, I came back to try to give him a chance to do right. I struggle with my decision every day because I cannot believe he stepped out on our marriage in such a crucial time of my life. I dealt with horrible postpartum, and I feel like I can barely climb out of it. My problem is that the trust has been broken now, and we're in a marriage where he feels like I'm working on forgiveness. But in reality, I feel like I'm just trying to give my daughter an opportunity to have a 2-parent home. Any advice on this?
Yeah, actually, I do.
I'm sorry, first of all.
Yeah, that's so incredibly difficult and hard. My advice to you, and maybe this is just tough love. Maybe this is just me being a realist, but forcing a 2-person home where the marriage and the love is broken will only teach your child that is the love that they should accept. Will only teach your child that is an acceptable form of a partner, that you should you don't have to have connection because you were providing a family. And in many ways, I feel like if your partner doesn't bring out the best in you, your children have to see them at their worst. And then they think that that's who they genuinely are. And they don't get the opportunity to have a real relationship with that parent because you two are bringing out the harder things about each other. And so in a lot of ways, not only would you be doing yourself a service, but you'd be doing your child a service if you chose yourself first.
Yeah. And I think you being honest with your husband is not something he's not going to expect.
Yeah.
Like you saying, like, I gave it a try. It didn't, I'm not feeling it on my end. I don't think he's going to be like, what do you mean? You know, and even
Maybe
if
he will.
And even if he is angry, at the end of the day, he's going to say, you know what? Well, he might not accept it, but
Actions have consequences.
Actions have consequences. You tried, you gave your best bet, and unfortunately, sometimes it does not fall the way you want it to.
And you can say, I was willing to give it another chance, and I really did. Whenever I said, like, okay, I'll forgive you and I'll let this happen, I thought that I could, but
right.
turns out I just can't.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of people who think that staying together for the children is in the best interest of their children and themselves, and then they realize that it really was not.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're teaching your daughter or son how they should treat their future lovers or what they should accept. Right? And it can be very hard. The thing that I think about with this is a lot of people think that in order for children to be amazing when they grow up is that they have to have a mom and a dad. And a two-parent household, and that's just not the case. There's been children that have been raised by two dads or raised by their grandmas, by their aunts, their siblings, and they do amazing, right? But I feel like sometimes people have that notion that it has to be a two-parent household.
For sure.
But what we have seen is that there's these two-parent households who have stayed together for the children and then realize that really did not pay off the way that they intended, and then it ends up being a little bit worse. Right. I mean, that's a horrible situation, but I think that the important part is going to be having open communication and figuring out the best possible way forward for the child, first of all, because that would be a child-centered, what would be best for the child, and then for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open communication, everything Jay just said is 100% spot on. You have to ask yourself, do you actually want to forgive him? Because there's a path to that, right? Because right now, if he thinks you forgave him, I don't know. He might just think that he's fine and that you forgave him so he can move forward. But if there's a path to rebuilding that trust, he needs to understand that there is a path that he has to walk out a journey. It's not just like, oh, I forgive you and we're good. The trust is broken and trust has to be rebuilt. If you want it to be. If you don't want it to be, it's time to have a much more difficult conversation with yourself. Because I agree, this idolization of a two-parent household over a healthy household is abysmal. It damages children more than divorce does. And so open communication, just do a lot of internal pondering. Do you actually want to make it work? Because trust can be rebuilt as long as there's repentance. I don't know where his head at. I don't know if he's just like, well, you know, things were rough and blah, blah. If he's justifying it, this is a different story. If he's justified the affair, if he's done anything other than admit he is an idiot and made a terrible decision, not a mistake, it was a decision. Cheating is never a mistake. It's always a conscious choice. And so if he can acknowledge that and walk out the path of repentance, you do have a path forward. If he's not willing to do that, then again, you have to have that difficult conversation. But don't feel guilty. You are protecting your child by protecting yourself. And it's important that you understand that. So my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you for
There's
sharing.
Ben.
I appreciate you being vulnerable. Thank you, Ben. Great insight, because he lived through it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope our advice works for you, or
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, take any of it as you want to, but take care of yourself.
Nothing but love.
That's right. Jay, did you have one? Or no?
I can see.
I thought you did. Sorry about that. Alrighty.
Well, this one's just a general thing. They're
Yeah.
wanting some advice. So it says, how to manage being in a long-term relationship and not get bored with it. So, you know, this is interesting.
A long-term relationship?
Like being
I
in
was gonna say.
in a relationship, I guess what I'm interpreting as is they've been together for a long time, and how do you not
feel
get
like-
bored, right?
I apologize that I can't relate, because like for me and Chris, like I'm literally also just excited to be around him always. Like we've been together 12 years now, but we also keep things really fun. So like we do a lot of date nights, exciting things. We'll plan things in the future. Looking forward to things always helps in your relationship. if you're bored, I guess, like, try to go out of your guys' comfort zones. Ask him.
I think what comes to my mind is communication. There has to be a reason as to why you're
Yeah,
bored.
why, yeah.
And I feel like that
He's
probably
stuck
comes
in a
back from
mundane-
resentment over something.
Yeah.
Like I'm going back from like to my like long distance days.
Not long
I
distance.
They said long distance.
I think they
term.
meant like long term, like
Like
being
you've
in a
been
relationship
married
for a
a
long
long
time, and
time.
how do you keep it from being bored?
Oh, see, I thought it was long distance, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, if it's long distance, I feel like that's the most exciting time because it's like you're just looking forward to the next time that you
Yeah.
see them, and it's just I miss you, I miss you, I miss you, and then it gets
Sometimes,
boring.
though, as all of us married, sometimes you get into a routine where you do the same thing every single day. You
Yeah.
come home,
Yeah.
you do this, I do these chores, you do these chores, the kids are this way. So it does feel boring sometimes,
I-
right? You have to add a little spice in there.
I will say that when Kyla and I first started fostering, we've always been very fun and wild. Any activities that we do, just spur of the moment. But when we started fostering, we had children, we got into a routine where it was just kids trying to survive. We went from 0 to 4 kids, and we had to take a step back. Not that we were bored of each other or anything, but we just realized we had no time for Kyler and I. No TV time, no special time. I mean, we had 2 children in our room, 2 cribs. And so it was really hard. And so we did have to step back and say, okay, we need to really prioritize
Yeah.
our relationship for us to, we plan to be together forever and in ever and ever, Kyler. Even in other lives, you better find me. But I think one is I would start with communication. I wonder if there's something deeper. I always think of the root cause. What is the root cause as to why you're getting bored? It could be that your partner's not giving any effort, and so then
Yeah,
you're bored.
effort's
You start
huge. Both of
resenting
you
them.
giving effort.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, you ain't into this. I'm not going to be into you, and then it turns into something. So I always feel there's always a root cause. So I would find the root cause, communicate with your partner, and make conscious decisions to change that.
That's right.
Find a babysitter. If you can't afford a babysitter, Kyler and I, we haven't found a babysitter yet. We put the kids to bed and we have date nights in our own home.
That's right.
The other day, I went and got burritos. Kyler put the dining table right in front of our TV and we sat there and ate, and it was just a fun, special moment, just me and him. We couldn't go out, but hey, we made
right.
it work. And so I think stuff like that
Change
will
it up.
probably help you to not be that, because that'd be horrible to be bored with
I
your
know.
partner, because technically your partner should be that escape, that person that makes you feel safe, fun, silly,
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, spice it up a little bit in other ways. Alrighty. This one, she wants advice about being one and done. One and done?
One and done is different for me.
I know. I was going to think that all of us have multiple kids. And so she's wondering if she should be one and done because she's afraid that she's going to have baby blues with her second, because she did have baby blues
Ooh.
postpartum with her first. So she's afraid that having another baby is going to introduce those feelings again. What do we
Yeah.
think about that? And I know we both did with our first.
Yeah.
And it is a scary thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get past that, like the baby blues, and you're like, oh yeah, I can do this again. It's going to be great. And then it does hit you again. So I've never personally had a second child, but Paige has, so she can speak on it more than I could.
I think that I so desperately wanted another child. I really did know that I wanted to have another pregnancy and I wanted another baby. And even though I knew it was a possibility that was going to happen, I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. Like if it comes, it comes, but I'll have a baby and that'll be okay. And I never, I know that some moms go through like a disconnect period during postpartum, and I didn't. It was almost like I was too connected. I was to the point where like everything was all I could think about was the baby, and I can't even put him down because
Yeah.
is he breathing? And it was more anxiety than depression for me. I will say that as I got closer to having Juliet, I got a little bit more nervous about like, oh my God, can I handle this? Am I going to be able to do 2, or did I make a horrible mistake and I'm not going to be able to give him enough attention, or
Yeah.
those things? But you just find a way.
And if you're wanting another child, that feeling's not going to go away. Right?
No.
Also, that what I've seen with other moms sharing online is that you can start taking care of your mental health during your pregnancy. So that way, when you do have your child, sometimes the things you've done will help you not become so postpartum, like depression. So I've seen a lot of people start with a therapist during it, or communicate with their husband what they need, set up a babysitter, set up time so that they're getting, their nails done every week, but prioritizing how their mental health will be after they have their child
good idea.
Yeah.
is super important. And sometimes it might not help, but sometimes it might, because you're going into it your second time. You're like,
Yeah.
I know what triggered me. Let's not do that,
And it's okay too if you're like, no, I think I am one and done.
Yeah,
I think I don't want to do this again.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
It's so interesting because when you read that, I'd never thought about postpartum, right? I was just thinking of like people who say, I don't want to only have one child. I thought that's what it was kind of going to saying. You know how some people say, I can't have one child, I can't have an only child. Or people are like, oh no, you have to have two, or it has to be an even number. That's where I thought that was going. So very interesting.
And sometimes your mental health is enough to say one.
Yeah.
Like I know people that are like, I'm blessed with my one child, and that's going to be it for me.
Yeah.
Because my mental health is more important.
Yeah. What everybody handles is completely different.
Yeah.
Right. There's some people who just want to have one child, two childs, 5, 18, whatever. Right.
Yes.
Ben's nodding.
Y'all want to hear something funny?
He's working his way there.
How we all things at different perspectives. So earlier, me and Cindy were walking through the podcast space, and there was a spider, and it had a web. And me and Cindy looked down at the spider, and we're like, "Oh, she's carrying her babies." And then the guy who was staring at us,
He's like,
was like, that's not what I thought. He's like, of course y'all think like that because y'all have a parenting podcast. He's like, I thought that her foot stuck to a web and she needs to be rescued.
she was dragging like a
yeah. I thought she was like Charlotte's Web, like, oh, my babies are about to get stepped on. Let me run for dear life.
Oh my gosh.
So perspective. Everyone's is different.
So I had a few people message, how are we doing? How is Paige's anxiety going on medication? How am I doing? Because I've shared.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you've been now on medication for months?
Yeah, about 6 months now. And I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better than I was, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm capable of keeping up with the day to day. I don't feel like I'm burnt out or overwhelmed because I did become medicated for ADHD too. I don't feel so just like drained from my list of to-do things that are simple to everybody else, but it's just like there's so many things to do, I don't know where to start, so I'm just not gonna start at all type.
I can relate.
So I'm personally doing very good.
So you're sticking to the one medication.
Yeah, buddy, it's working. So I will say there was a time period for about 5 days where I didn't go pick up my prescription, and I found I was like, I'm doing fine. I don't even think I need it again. And then I was scrolling on TikTok and I had seen some couple videos. And Mark came in and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like uncontrollably crying, and I was like, "I'm fine." And he was like, "Okay." And I had realized like I hadn't cried like that in a long time, to where it was just like I couldn't help but just feel that like overwhelming amount of emotion. I know that I'm very much empathetic towards people. Like if I see other people crying, it will make me want to cry, but it got very unhealthy. So just seeing those videos and knowing that like, oh, that's still in me. It was nice.
I think that I hear people do go through that. They're like, oh, I'm feeling really great. I've been this on a while. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do still need to take care of your
Yeah.
mental health. Yeah. For me, I've only been on it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm chilling. It's kind of like a wild thing for your mind to be chilling. Like, I don't know how to explain it because my mind never just relaxes. And I still do have moments where I do get anxious, and I feel like my brain like overrides the medication because I'm making it do it. Because like I should be worried right now about what's going on. And so I'm still like fighting the urge to be like, why are you not worried about this right now? It's the weirdest thing that I'm going through. But I've only been on it for like 2 weeks now. But it's going well. It's going well. By the time you see this, I'll be on it for like 2 months or a month and a half. But
that's good.
I seen a lot of people when I did my video respond really nicely. So thank you guys so much. I don't really like to be vulnerable, and I've seen a lot of people relate to it. And I do urge you to talk to somebody and get on medication if you need to.
It helps.
It's scary because you don't want to take anything, but sometimes you need to.
Right. I think that y'all both do a great job, right, about being vulnerable. Cindy over here did an amazing job because Cindy is fun, Cindy is light, and she wants to help everybody, right? That includes children, friendships. She pours herself into everything. And sometimes what I feel is as adults, we're taught to be strong and not to cry or not to let those emotions out. So the fact that you did that, I thought was amazing, because a lot of people probably see Cindy and they're like, wow, she's so positive, she's so nice, and no one knew that she was struggling. And so the fact that she was able to share that, I think is very powerful, because then people can say, like relate, and it's just so things. So I think it was amazing.
Thank you.
That you shared and that you share. I think it's important. Obviously, I was taught not to. I feel like sometimes I do have that where I'm like, don't cry. And I honestly, I don't cry unless if I cry with you, it's because I feel comfortable. Because if not, I will hold it in. And when we get in the car, Kyla will hear me crying, or I'll try to do that. And with my kids, I want them to cry. I want them to tell me everything. I want them to tell me how they feel. If they're upset at me, yell, cry, whatever, because I think that is extremely healthy. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help and seeking help.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. I need people to really understand that, because some people think of it as a weakness, and it's not. It takes more strength to be able to talk about it and do something about it than just to suffer.
I feel like me being vulnerable was the best thing that I could do for myself. Because like it is hard for me to even like call the doctor to be like, hey, I'm really struggling. But it was the best thing I could have ever did for myself. And it took me like really having a rough time to be like, holy shit, like I need somebody to be to help me.
It's a hard conversation to have.
I will say, as Cindy's friend, it was very hard for me to watch the episode back, because even though I check in on Cindy, I just didn't know that she was struggling to that degree. And so when I watched it back, me and Kyla were like over here crying, and we're like, it made me question. I was like, dang, I need to pop into this bitch's phone calls every day and really ask her something, because, I mean, in general, I don't like to see people suffer. I don't know, I'm extremely empathetic. Call me Phoebe off of Charmed. I am an empath. And so, I don't know, I just didn't like that, but I was so happy that you did share, and, it was very powerful.
I feel like it literally makes me chair, because like I do keep it a lot and like I can talk to them every day and I don't tell anybody anything. And that's really hard to do sometimes. It really is. And so
you've been better about it.
The best day, or like this day that everyone sees on the internet, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Cindy is so great right now. Wow, like she posted all these things." But in reality, that I'm not. Yeah. But it's been better. So
yeah. Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Anyway, we have more questions.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for asking. I really appreciate it. And the response that I got was really nice, because I didn't want people to think of it as like, oh, here she goes now. Like, like Paige has spoken before, like she doesn't want to feel like the burden of people by always having something wrong. And I don't want people to be like, well, great, now Cindy has something wrong. All these fucking bitches are.
That's just life. You can get over it, frankly, if it bothers you, because that's just life. And at least we're able to say it out loud, and we're in a space that we feel comfortable.
Right. And hopefully, like, just if we spoke about, like, in our group, right? Like, let's say, like you said that, sometimes they'll say, oh, Paige is dumping on us and stuff like that. We all go through seasons in life. And hopefully you have those friends, like, if you're going through a season in life where now, like, y'all just heard, Paige is alive, or, like, not, you've always been alive, but, like, she's thriving, right? And so maybe the season's going to switch where then all of a sudden I'm not okay, and now I need to do it to Paige, and Paige is going to be there. And that's why I say, I don't know. I feel like that's like a trauma response or something for us to think of stuff like that. I don't think we just don't like to burden people, right? And so we're like, no, we can't, or I don't know. I find
I do agree with you. Like that comment that we will give is like, oh, such and such trauma dumps on them, or like Paige does, or Jay does, or Cindy does, or somebody comes on, they think like, oh, they're trauma dumping. Like, it's such an odd reaction, excuse me, for someone to have, because I don't ever believe that. I will listen to you for 2 hours if you need to. Because like, what is it, that quote that people say, stop healing in silence? Because what is it going to
Because it nearly killed you.
It nearly killed you. So I'm like, I will sit there 100 times and listen to the same thing you got to tell me. And then when it is my turn, they're going to listen to me. Yeah. Like, even when I was about to take my medication, I'm literally texting Paige like, hey, what's going to happen to me? Did you have this? Did you have this? Did you have this? And
she was like, how many milligrams were you on? Were you on this one?
Because I need to mentally speak to somebody.
What was your day like the next day?
Like about it, you know what I mean? And luckily, I did have a friend who was open about it and willing to help me, because other than that, who else am I going to talk to?
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, we're doing well.
I think that also just goes to speak with, like, this is our friendship, right? So we also know each other's energy and what each of us is comfortable with. And like, obviously, if Cindy's just had the worst fucking day ever, I don't just go to her and be like, remember whenever I was a kid and my mom wasn't there? You know, like, it's like time and place. But I don't think that we've ever been in that position where we felt like, God, it's always she has to say this, or it's always he has to do this. Like, it just doesn't come across that way for us. And that's just, you guys are literally just a fly on the wall, getting to
Listening
see
to our
what it's like for
friendships.
our friendship, just to be able to talk openly and freely. And in a lot of ways, sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to Cindy or Jay, and I forget we're uploading this to the internet for all of you to see too, because this is my safe space. This is just where I feel comfortable enough to say, like, if I'm not doing well, or if I am doing well, or if life sucks, or, you know, if I'm just being a crybaby for no reason, like, and I'm capable of saying, like, this is what I'm going through. And both of them will be like, hey girl, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And so just my suggestion is to find yourself friends that are like that in your life, that won't constantly think you are dumping on them, and instead will understand that if you don't get it out, you're going to keep it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might take you a while to let it out, like me. And like, you know, Paige is really great about sharing, but I feel like having that trust made me be able to share with other people. So somebody did ask that, like, how we became friends. A lot of people ask that, how we became friends and how we have had our relationship grow with our families, because they see us hang out with each other a lot. And so
fun fact, hopefully during this time, TikTok will still be around, but TikTok brought us
Fingers
together,
crossed.
guys. So Cindy and we were working on I would say, like, campaign, or we got together with a lot of influencers to raise awareness, foster parents, to raise awareness for Jambos that provides brand new pajamas to children experiencing foster care. And we all got on a Zoom call, and we were all on. Honestly, I was intimidated by everybody because I was a baby creator. I think I was like at 5,000 at the time. And then here were these big bitches with all these big numbers, right? And it was more of a self-insecurity from myself, because nobody carried themselves that way, right? But, and so that's how we met. And so we started doing, like, where we were going to collab with each other and stuff. And then we just did a
it's
side
like a foster
group.
care group of
Yeah.
people. And me and Jay attached really quickly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy's a little funny. Like, so we just attached really quickly, and then we became friends. Me and Paige go back a little farther.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this January is 5 years.
Yeah.
And I slid into Paige's DMs. Like, I think you're local to me.
Yeah. And I
And
was.
she was. And we hung out one time to do, you were raising money.
Yeah, I was raising money for a smile makeover, and so she was like, "Hey, can I go with you to Target?" I got her like a little. My thing has always been gift baskets. It's just been my thing. So I was gonna put one together. She was like, "I want to go with you to help pick out stuff," and so she came to Target with me. I think we walked the same sections like 50 times, just trying to find the right things, and we just talked. And then after that, we were friends a little bit, just more privately, just as
We
we
would
got to
text
know
each
each other.
other.
Yeah. And then
And I'm never the bitch who's just going to collab with somebody. Like, that is not me. Thank God I stayed out of it, because poor Paige.
Oh, God. Y'all wanna
that's
talk about
never- That was never me.
you want to talk about the
was
Queen
never
team?
But yeah, we've had a 5-year relationship going.
Yeah.
And obviously,
it's gone off and on, but like, I feel like we kept going into each other's lives.
Yeah.
Like, we would invite each other places, and then get just closer and closer and closer. And now here we are.
It was a very natural progression of friendship. Whenever it became just like, acquainted to friends to close
And then
friends to
people
besties.
say like, well, because it's internet friends, but I'm like, it's a little different. Like,
Yeah.
I get that we're both on TikTok, we both do the same things, but like,
I've had internet friends before.
Our-
This
our
is
life
not
is
an
not
internet
all
friend.
TikTok.
Correct.
No.
I've had friends before where you genuinely just are friends
got a
for the
list of videos
content.
you need to make together.
Correct. Literally,
Yeah,
you
like
have wrote down all the things that you're
colleagues.
going to do, and quite literally, that is what it was.
Yeah.
And so I've been there before. This is certainly
Yeah.
not that.
I met Paige through Cindy because she invited me to be on the podcast, season 1, episode 7, the best. Just kidding. But
love
that's
what
how
he
I met
always
Paige, and I loved her, like her. And then she did the booty shake, and I was like mesmerized. I was like, oh,
She hypnotized him, and now he's in Dallas.
yeah. And so that's how I met Paige. But I think the reason that we have been able to come together is because we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And
We're both
then
gay.
We have, yeah, for real. We have meshed our families.
Yeah.
So when we do events, we do family things together, we all come together.
We all want our families included.
Yes. And
too.
so it works that we're all wanting to hang out with our families. Because if I had a friend and they were like, oh, can you come over? Sure, I'm bringing my 5 kids. And I'm like, no, just you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go. It's really, realistically, it's not going to go
Yeah.
anywhere, because it's very rare when I am alone without Kyler and my kids. And me and Kyler are attached at the hip.
Yeah.
And people think it's weird. I don't think it's weird.
I don't think it's weird.
I think, like, I get anxiety when Kyler's not with me. I feel sad. And it's just because I just love hanging out with him
It's so
and
fun
being
when
with the
all of them are
kids.
together.
Yeah, and so I like it. So I think that has been a reason for the success. Is we have a lot of things in common, and then also we bring our families into it, and so
Yeah.
it makes it organic to be able to hang out.
Yeah, it makes it fun. And I also see people comment all the time where like me and Jay will be together or we'll be at an event together or something, or like a birthday party, like where's Paige? I'm like, Paige was invited.
Every time.
Paige-
Every single time. I'm
Or
always
Jay won't be
invited.
there. But she has literally two teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
2 babies, like, and Paige does live
just-
like 40 minutes from us.
And one of my children has autism. My 2 of my children have autism, but my 5-year-old has autism, and that means that my life moves a little differently than every other child. Some of the things that they can go and do, my child will be overstimulated or simply will not enjoy himself.
Yeah, like we told her, like, hey, we're going to Disney on Ice or something. She knows that her child will not respond well. Or birthday parties, she is invited. With So I just want to clarify.
Yeah,
that.
no.
Also, Jay does live 8 minutes from me.
Yeah, they also live they live in the same exact town. I live about 40 minutes away. There's no, and I think it's weird that they get jealous
too.
that
I
way.
think
Like
it's
they pick
weird.
it out, but we don't.
No.
And I think it's
Because our
obviously
friendship's
because we
real.
know
Yeah.
too that like, well, that's just the way it is. Like y'all are
I was about to
fucking
say, because
neighbors.
Every time, like I know I was at Jay's house for a birthday party and I filmed it. They're like, well, why is not Paige not there?
Yeah.
What do you
Ari's?
mean, you guys? Yeah.
Girl, I had food poisoning.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I
She
sent
got
a
the-
present, but I was in the bed.
I'm just like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
I was losing weight.
I thought you were going to say that people think that me and Cindy are brother and sister.
No, they think y'all are married.
First of all, let me
Or
tell you.
married.
Married.
Yeah, on social media, they think that we're brother and sister, which I always say we're sisters in Christ. When people ask me, but in person, guys, people think that we're husband and wife everywhere
Yeah.
we go.
Everywhere
They
we
think that
go.
we're husband and wife. And
And y'all got a lot of kids together.
yeah, I'm wild. I just go along with stories sometimes. Sometimes I correct people, and then sometimes I'm like, you know.
All my
It's
husbands.
crazy, isn't it?
But I
Yes.
feel like when we're around each other a lot, our mannerisms rub off on each other. All of us.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I say some of the things Paige says, those are funny. And I cannot say, hey guys, without everyone saying like, that is Jay. You must be his sister. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when people will say, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think when you have friends,
No,
you will
when you're
pick up
best
each other
friend, yes.
mannerisms, or you will do similar things. It's like, oh, you're doing this because this person did this. Okay, is that a bad thing? Like, she's my
Literally.
friend. Like, you know?
Somebody had one week, me and Paige are doing bread at the same time. Someone had come to like, you're only doing this because Paige is doing this. I'm like,
You made me do it.
but like, I was thinking like, oh, well, if I fucking am.
Yeah,
like, I'll
yeah.
do anything she does. It's fine. Like, she makes some good ass shit. What do you mean?
You know?
Also, our content is similar. Like, they're not the same, but they're definitely right next to each other. Like,
We're
all of
both
us.
moms and we're very
It's
close
all like,
friends. Like if you don't
if
expect
I
us to
like
be
her
similar,
ideas?
then
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
gonna do a closet clean out next week.
period.
Why? Because it's one, motivating because she's donating to somebody. I feel like everybody should do it. And you get rid of shit.
Don't forget to do your stripper bag.
But
I'll be waiting.
No.
I love my friends and I am motivated by them.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
copy you all the time.
This is a segue for me.
Okay, go.
So to the one that you read to me earlier. Okay.
Okay.
So I feel like sometimes what happens. What are you laughing at? Oh, I feel like Jay, with your phone, put it on mute.
You're like literally 6 seconds late, Jay.
Oh my lord. Okay. Okay. I feel like she's still laughing. She's gonna make me laugh. Okay. I feel like people try to pass on their own experiences and trauma onto others.
They do.
And so, for example, you know what question I'm going to lead into, right?
I could
Okay,
read it.
you can read it. No, I want her to read it. I didn't find the question offensive, but I feel like
I
people
think Ben would have a good point on this too. Actually, Paige mine too.
people have a way of trying to throw things in there. So I'll tell you one thing for sure. One of the things that people tell me all the time is like, I hog the camera from Kyler, or I don't let him be on camera or anything like that. And y'all know that Kyler is extremely
Yeah.
shy. He does not like to be on camera. It's when he wants to. And that's what we have done. Remember when we did the podcast and he was like shaking because he was so nervous, but people don't know that. So then they just see that it's me on the page, which my page is Daddy J,
Yeah.
right? Daddy Kyler has one. But Kyler just doesn't enjoy being on camera all the time, but people will come in and say, oh, this and this and this for Kyler. And me and Kyler just laugh about it because I'm like, that's not our reality. But
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we'll say, oh, you don't let your partner speak. And I feel because that person in their home or sometime in their life had a situation where they were not allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then they get triggered by they assuming that their situation is mine.
I think that happens a lot. People
Yeah.
put their trauma on other people.
Yes.
For instance, I could give my child, I bought something for this child today, and they'd be like, why'd you leave the other two out?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they getting anything? I'm like,
Oh my God, I got that
that's
so
weird.
much.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't favor one child over the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that day I was at the store and this thing reminded me of this one child. But guess what? The other one's probably going to get stuff too. But I feel like it has to be something from their child that like, oh, I was left
Something.
out. Who knows? But
Something in
I
their
used to
life
get
that
that.
kind of does
yeah.
that.
Going to like Walmart or Target, if I was getting like Boston a new shirt, they'd be like, she never gets anything for the teenagers. And I'm like,
Yes.
what teenager do you have that will let me
Yes.
get you a shirt from Walmart, bitch? Because
But they
mine
don't
won't.
see everything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this one.
Yes.
No hate to this person. We love you. Thank you for commenting. And they were
Yeah.
really nice about it. But they asked, I'd like to hear what it's like for you. And she said Kyler, but this could go for any of us. I would like to hear what you and Kyler, who grew up with Latino food and tradition, and what it feels like to be taunted by Jay or by other Latinos for not being Latino enough. I hate when people do that to me, and hearing people make fun of you guys. I've heard of them making fun of you guys before. I would love to have an open discussion. So basically, they're saying that they've heard Jay or other people like make fun of me because I do not speak Spanish. I do not look Mexican, but I am half Mexican. My dad is Mexican. And I'll react first, and I can say that it doesn't bother me because it has happened my whole life. I do not look Hispanic. I just don't. And so I laugh about it all the time too. I'm like, I literally am Mexican. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
like, it's just a funny thing. I don't take offense to it.
But can I say that's probably why he feels comfortable enough
No,
Yes.
it
to
is. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fuck
we
with
talked
you
about
about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's because
I
he
thought-
knows that it's
Yeah.
not upsetting.
Now, because even on the internet, if I do post a Mexican meal, literally people will comment, "Why are you cooking our culture's food?" And I'm just
Yes.
like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Like, I can cook? Well, first of all, you can cook any food you want to cook, but I was raised on
Yeah.
homemade Mexican food.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, do you have a feeling about it?
Yeah. So it's funny because as it is, I look kind of racially ambiguous. Like most people think I'm like I get Greek a lot or like
Yeah, I would
Persian,
see that.
which like pop off. That's why I'm TSA pre-check as to avoid all that because there really was a problem. The only time in my life I've actually ever experienced genuine racism was from Mexicans who were racist
really?
towards me because I'm a half breed, as they call me. But I don't care. I'm in the same camp as you. It doesn't bother me.
And I'm proud to be Mexican.
Yeah, I love my Mexican heritage,
Yes.
and I love my dad's story, and I love that he risked his life to come to this country so we could have an opportunity to live the life that we lived, and he instilled a strong sense of love for America and patriotism in me, and I'm with you. Just cook the food you want to cook. Like
right.
my wife made Philly cheesesteaks last night, and we're not from Philadelphia, so are we appropriating culture or are we just eating good food?
Right.
And
I also think there's a huge difference in cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation. And
Yeah.
sadly, the internet forgets that they both exist.
Yeah. I will
do you
say,
feel, Jay?
yeah. So first of all, I think that in any situation, you should always look at the person's intent, right? So I would say that even if I did a remark like that with Cindy, she would look at my intent and she would know that my intent is not to be mean or demeaning or anything like that. It's a joke, right? And same thing with Kyler. Like it's something that we joke about all the time. He makes comments about me being like full Mexican and like fully, pronouncing things like it's just jokes that we have, right? But my thought process is potentially the person who sent that, and I don't know their life, but this is just my thought process. Thinking about what the root cause is, I wonder if that person has experienced that in their lives, and so they're triggered by that, and so they don't like that. So the feelings are valid for sure.
Yeah.
I would say for that person, if she has someone who makes jokes like me, but it makes her feel bad, she should communicate that.
Yep.
She should talk to that person because her feelings are valid, and it's okay to talk about it. If Kyler or Cindy or anybody was to tell me that I talk to on a normal basis, Jay, I really don't like that. I wouldn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. That's not my intent, so I would not. Right? I think that having conversations and talking about topics like this, I think that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to communicate in order to be with someone long term or be friends with people long term. You need to talk about things like that.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because you said a comment, and one of the things that I think about a lot is I am very proud to be Mexican for sure.
Something that Jay also has dealt with is that people don't
Yes.
think he is Mexican enough.
Yeah.
It actually happened to me and him in person one
Yeah.
time. We went to a class
Yeah.
and we were talking, and he talked in Spanish
Yeah,
to somebody who was also in Spanish, and they looked at him like, "You speak full Spanish?"
You're Mexican?
Yeah, and are you Mexican? He said, "Yeah." And then, "You actually speak Spanish?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And then they were kind of testing you,
Yeah,
to make sure you did.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I am light skinned, right? And I feel like there is a stereotype of what a Mexican is on American TV or in general. We have to be dark skinned, dark hair, dark eyes, and broken English, right? And that's just not the case. In Mexico, there is all sorts of colors in our skin, in our eyes. I mean, literally, I have an aunt and an uncle who are literally lighter than Paige and have blue and green eyes, right? And so people stick to that stereotype of that. And I realize that I am lighter skinned. So even sometimes when I'm on live and I'll be listening to my music, someone will comment and say, "You're Mexican? You speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 100% Mexican," right? So it does happen even to me, right? Where people assume exactly that. I mean, yeah. I welcome conversation, so I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my Puerto Rican heritage, even though I certainly don't look it. But my grandmother, well, I called her Lita. She came from Puerto Rico. Her name was Juana, and she came literally from Puerto Rico and made a life in the Bronx, New York. Ooh. And then my mom moved to Texas, and now she's no longer with us. And I always wish that she was, because I don't have a close relationship with my mom. So that part of my heritage does feel lost a little bit. But I look white. I'm very much white. But if you ask me, I'm Puerto Rican. Because I don't love to classify as just white, and also because growing up, my Lita would tell me stories about Puerto Rico, and it had a bird and all the very Puerto Rican stereotypes of Alita would be, and I wanted to be that whenever I get older, so I'm cling to it.
Proud that you do have that heritage in you, no matter how much it is. So
I will say that one of the things for me, I don't know, I think it comes from my childhood, is I don't like when like the comment white passing. That drives me insane, first of all, but I do realize that there are some Latinos in the U.S. that want to be white passing and they want to embody that and kind of forget that they are Latino, forget that they're Mexican, and really not celebrate their cultures and where they come from. And I don't know why, but that's a big thing for me. And just kind of thinking root cause, I think to myself, I've always been very proud. I've never been ashamed of my mom, who came to the U.S., who didn't know English. And I was in elementary and I would teach my mom how to speak English. We would lay in bed and I would teach her. She would write the words to learn how to write. And I would tell her yes, no, right? There was a lot of things. So I've always been very proud of my mom. And one of the things that I hated at school is that there was a lot of Latinos who would act like they weren't Latino, or they would act like they didn't know Spanish, or that their parents didn't speak Spanish. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Your mom knows no English, and she's like, you need to help her. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's always been a thing for me, is like to be proud of who you are and where you come from. And I feel like that's where people don't. And so that's where probably my jokes come in to like make fun of or something. But I do think that people should celebrate where they come from 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think the jokes are fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's ironic, right? Because with the gatekeeping, it's an attempt to like call you racist, right?
Yeah.
But the gatekeeping itself is racist, because you're saying, well, Jay, you're not Mexican because like you need to be darker.
Yes.
You need to wear a sombrero. And it's like, that's racist, but you're holding me to these really like dated stereotypes of what it means to be a Mexican. And it's like the gatekeeping and like claiming you're appropriating, like that is more racist than whatever they're trying to accuse. What, because you're listening to Mexican music? Because you're making Mexican food? That's not racist. You're racist for saying that I'm not Mexican enough. Yeah. Like I'm not Mexican in the way you expect me to be. That's really messed up. And
that is something that happens a lot when you are Mexican American. Your family in Mexico will think that you're very whitewashed, or you're not proud to be Mexican. That is something that happens a lot as well for Mexican Americans, where you're like, oh, you're not as Mexican, or oh, you're too Mexican, right? Depending on which side of the border you're on. So that does happen quite a bit.
I think people expect me to be browner because they're like, well, why, how are you so pale? My abuelita was blonde and very, very pale. She was not brown.
There's a variety of skin colors.
Yeah.
And she was born in Puerto Rico, indigenous Puerto Rican. So I'm like, it's just the way it is.
I've always wanted.
I want to go to Puerto Rico so badly.
We should go.
I love how you said
I would love to.
Mom's the word.
Someone made fun of me because I pronounce things. Because I pronounce things correctly, so I say jalapeño, chile,
like, today I'm
mango.
Jalapeños, and they're like, "Why do you do that?"
Why do you, this lady literally told me, "Why do you have to say it like that?" So
just
annoying.
respond to me like, because I'm a fucking Mexican, and that's the
word.
word.
Then I think to myself, I think it's very. Oh, this is another thing. I think it's very annoying when people don't go out of the way to try to pronounce things in the correct language. And so like jalapeño, chile, that's not me trying to be like, ooh, arriba, jalapeño, you know what I mean? No, that's literally how you say
arriba.
It. Yeah, like that's how you say it, jalapeño, chile.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like, I feel like whatever language it is, you should try your best to pronounce things, even people's names. I feel one of the big things also is like, for example, they'll have to change their names to Americanize it because people don't know how to pronounce it. People will make time and effort to pronounce things like Louis Vuitton, all those things. You will make time to learn how to say Yves Saint Laurent, all those other things. But yeah, all of a sudden, my name is too ethnic for you to be able to say. You know what I mean? So I think that you should pronounce things the way that it's meant to be said.
Yep.
Right. And if you don't know, so I'd be going to Asian restaurants, any restaurant, and I try to say it the way it is. And I'm like, excuse me, can you teach me how to say it? And I butcher it, but I try my best because I want to learn and I'm truly invested in it. But some people find that very interesting because I saw this other creator, my crush creator, Golden Balance. He gets that a lot where people will ask him, why do you have to say it like that? It's like, because that's how you say it. Like, that's the correct way.
That's the word.
You know? But interesting. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good question.
Elaborating.
I thought it was a good question.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go into a little easier, not as heavy topic. Everyone wants to know, why is Jay not a sourdough girly? Like me and Paige.
Oh, I can tell you this answer.
Oh, yeah, for real. So, everybody expected me to jump on the sourdough bound.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't like baking. I can bake. Because the other day I posted some baking videos and people were like, you can bake. I was like, I am a man of many talents, I'm just kidding. I mean, I think we can all do anything we set our mind to. Right? So could I make sourdough? Absolutely. Would I enjoy it? No. Oh my God. The other day I made Heather Bell's cookies, which is a great recipe, but it literally had so many ingredients and you have to go step by step and
You're
can't.
more of a like throw it in
Yes.
kind of
If
chef.
you notice, most of all my recipes are just come from my mind or I see in my pantry. I'm like, let's go. And the only reason I started measuring is because of social media. Because before when I did my videos, I would be like, okay, some tomatoes. I'm like, how much? And I'm like, I don't know, 3 cups. So now I went out of my way to measure, or sometimes measure with my head, But I'm just not a baking person. I don't enjoy it. It takes a long time. My attention span is not that long.
You have to stay on top of it to make it.
Yeah. And so it's just a little bit. Yeah.
That was a fucking fifth kid.
I'm proud that I did it.
Yeah.
But
Can I tell you a secret? I've not put her in the fridge. I've fed her every day. I've never put when do you put it in the fridge?
mine's in the fridge now.
When do you put it in there? After you feed it?
No.
When it's hungry.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I do that?
Because then it just stalls, and so right when you pull it back out, it'll come back to room temperature, and then you feed it, and then it gets hungry again.
No, I can't put her in there hungry. Then I just
was
know
scared.
she's in the fridge
I was
just
scared too.
torturing herself. She's hungry.
Mine's in there now. I need to pull her out.
First of all, I don't know. I'm not gonna be a baking person. Let me tell you. Hold on. I don't know why, but yeast and the fact that it's growing, you have to feed it, kind of grosses me out.
Yeast.
No, I know, but I'm talking about just the fact that it's growing and it's hungry kind of grosses me out. Just thinking about it.
Oh, I love it.
Or when you
Me
think
too.
about like
It's
yeast.
like my science experiment.
And the smell, people hate the smell, but I'm
I like
it's
it.
good.
Yeah.
She's
I'd be like,
sour.
oh, she's stinky.
Yeah, she's stinking.
That reminds me of like the Orange is the New Black when they were selling those panties and the guys wanted it to be sour. That's what it made me think
The
of.
sourer the better.
I do love that show.
Me too.
I don't know.
Me too.
The one I'm stuck on right now
So
is
Jay's not
Outlander.
gonna be-
No, I'm not doing it. Yeah, no baking for me. Or other things. Just I try not to bake as much as possible. Oh my Lord, I don't like it.
And if both of your girlfriends are making sourdough bread, actually, do you think he needs his own? We have so much.
Yeah, Kyler wants me to make him a fancy grilled cheese because Sarah gave us bread. But the only cheese we had was the processed American cheese. I was like, Kyler, I am not making a sandwich with processed cheese with homemade sourdough.
That's the only cheese you can use in grilled cheese in
not
my
on
book.
a sourdough one.
Nope. That's the only grilled
you have
cheese.
to use fancy cheese, like with the sourdough. Now, I make
Gruyere.
regular grilled cheese with American bread, but if I'm going to make a sourdough one, I need to do
You better do it quick, because
something.
that's how I'm going to last.
For real. I told Kylie, I was like a croque monsieur or
gave you
something. That's
that
what we're going to make. Oh, it's in the freezer. It's good.
Good eye. Okay, so they asked, what is our biggest tip as a mom to multiples or a dad to multiples, and how do you navigate changes in jealousy between your children?
I'm going to sit this one out because my child could not be happier to
what's
have a baby
interesting?
sister.
I
Yeah.
know.
He loves her. He literally, the sun shines right out of her ass as far as he's concerned. He is like, Juliet. So, no, I don't have that one.
I've had
The
a lot
other-
of kids. You've had a lot of kids,
Yeah.
so
The other day, I took Taliana solo date, literally just this week, and someone commented like, "Don't your kids get jealous?" I'm like, first of all, my other kids were sleeping. Like,
but that's the
they
biggest
went
advice
to
I give
bed.
to people. one-on-one
They went to
dates.
bed, and me and Talia went to. I decided to go to Costco. I didn't have a time to go in the morning, so I went at night. The kids went to bed at 7:30. We left at 7:30 to go that, and I said, let me take Talia, and then we can go have a little ice cream date. 'Cause she had been asking for ice cream. So did the kids get jealous? No. Have I ever done solo dates with the kids? And they were like, why didn't you take us? And we just sit there and explain. Daddy Jay and Daddy Carla are trying to give you an individual time where we're going to go and do something fun with each of you, and you're each going to have your own special date. And they have been excited, and they love that.
Like you do follow through with it. You've gone on dates with all of your children.
Yeah.
That's my biggest advice to
Yes,
multiple.
is try to give them their own one-on-one time.
So I have a huge age gap. Bear is 8 years old, and then Fox is 2. Itty Bitty is 1. And so there has been jealousy, or more so like Bear wants more of my attention because I'm always caring for a baby. Always have a baby on me when Bear is still my baby, And so I have had to, or I have adjusted our life to like when I do put the kids to bed, that me and Bear will have one-on-one time just in our house playing games, like my full attention given to him. And now it's even throughout the day. So like during nap time, we do homeschool, but we'll also do something that I'm just giving him my full attention because he's craving that. Sometimes your kids are craving that if they're like acting out and stuff like that. And now Fox is 2, so I do one-on-one time with him as well. Like it's big, just like us sitting together. Chris will take the other kids on a walk or something, and we'll be at home. That's my biggest advice.
Yeah.
As for the babies, they do get jealous. One will be on me. They both want to be on me. So great. And I love it. But I find that I have to find little moments in parenting that make time special with each of them. So that's my biggest advice.
Yeah.
And Bear doesn't really explain that he's jealous. You just see it in your children's
And the
reaction.
behaviors, the way they start like acting up a little bit.
Yeah. And it's going to happen. You have other children, but we also do vocalize a lot like Jay does with his children. Like, mommy has to, have the babies right now, but guess what? Me and you are going to have time alone. But also me and my husband balance a lot of it too. Like if I'm really giving the kids attention, Chris is with Bear. And I'm very fortunate with that. Like they go out a lot and do stuff together. So
yeah, I think it's great to do that. Like one of the things is when we did homeschool trips, the other kids wanted to go and they didn't understand as to why, or it was only me and Amor, or sometimes like you can take other kids, but I was like, no, I'm not going to take y'all. And it's because I want to be fully focused in Ari's or Amor's or Grayson's homeschool trips, so that way they get that one-on-one time. I think it's super important. The one thing that I learned that was very interesting is like my kids get 2 hours of iPad time, and I thought that iPad time they would want to kind of be in their own world, and that's not true. There's been times where Amor wants me to lay with her and enjoy the videos that she's watching, and I never thought about that until she told me. She told me. She communicated that. She's like, I want you to sit here and watch these videos with me. And I was like, okay. And so I sat in her room, in her bed, just me and her, watching her videos. And like literally this past weekend, I did it with Ari. And it was very interesting. He wanted to take pictures. I thought that he would want his own. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they're playing Roblox and they're like, leave me alone. And then sometimes they want you to be there. But hopefully they communicate that. And if your child gets jealous or whatever, just talk to them.
Yeah.
Help them to go through it.
Give them more time, more of your time, honestly.
Yes.
That's all they're asking for.
Yep.
And if you're listening, they'll do good.
This one is very interesting. I got one.
Okay.
It says, I am LGBTQ plus masculine. She's a lesbian. I'm sorry. She highlighted the L. I am a lesbian, LGBTQ plus masculine, and my parents have become possessive at 18, opposed to disowning me. Advice. So this is very interesting to me. The reason why I thought it was interesting is because traditionally speaking, parents will disown their children for being LGBTQ plus, for being gay. So this person is asking us how to deal with it because now her parents are, I guess, overprotective and very possessive.
Because she is lesbian?
Yes. They have become very possessive, I guess.
Interesting. Like they just want to protect
her?
her?
I think it's interesting. I thought it was amazing because usually it's the other way around. Your parents disown you and don't talk to you. And this one, like maybe the parents are a little bit too present, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like wondering what is it that they're.
I don't know that feeling because my dad cut me off 100%. So
Same.
I was out of the will. So. But anyways, I would just say that again, you'd have to communicate that. What is it, right? Understand what is that's bothering you and communicate it, and I don't know, set a boundary with your parents.
What are they protecting you from? Like you're 18 years old, and my parents have always been really protective. So even when I started dating at 18, if I took it as like, so, oh, I'm straight, they really protected me from who I was dating. So I'm wondering if they're just being overprotective because they're afraid your feelings are going to get hurt, or they don't know how to navigate you as a lesbian.
Yes, exactly.
So communicating, obviously, like give me some
Yeah.
space kind of thing.
Let me figure this out
Let
on
me
my
figure
own.
this out. Yeah.
Communication. I honestly, I think that's amazing. I'd rather be on that side than on this side that I was on. But just communicate with them and try to set a healthy boundary
And
is,
maybe it
is
feels
what I would do.
overwhelming to her, which is why she's asking. Because
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming if someone wants to be all up in your business, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, were you dating? Oh, were you doing this? Like, and maybe that's what she's feeling.
I think another thing
Maybe
is
they're just curious though
Yeah.
too. Maybe
Yeah.
they've felt like, well, you've never told us anything about anybody, and so we just
So
want to
now
know
they're
everything.
interested.
so
They can get too excited though.
I think another part of that might be is like, for example, my mom, when we talked about it and stuff, one of the things that she's always said is that she was scared. And it wasn't that she was scared, like that she didn't accept me or love me. She was scared on how the world was going to treat me because
That
she
could
knows
be
that there's a
another
lot
thing.
of people
Yes.
that hate us for being who we are. And she was afraid of the world out there for me because they were going to treat me bad for just being who I am. So maybe that is also maybe they're being extra possessive or I don't know,
Yeah.
because they're scared and they want to protect you. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I would just talk about it
They
and
seem
figure it
to
out.
love you. So.
Yes, that's amazing.
Thank you, Jay, for being here again with
Thank you
us.
guys. Happy New
Always
Year.
good.
Merry Christmas.
Jay in the same sweater.
Yes.
I feel like I was quiet this episode.
That's okay.
I'm a little sleepy. I'm getting used to the medication, you guys. We're doing all
Follow
right.
us on all platforms. We're
Please.
here every Thursday.
Yep.
We love you. And as always, keep the giggles going.
And the love flowing.
And until next time,
Mom knows best.
or at least,
She's trying her best.
bye, guys.